And welcome to stage 6 of the 2011 Dakar Rally. It's the final day before the rest day and plenty of dunes lie ahead. In the bike category, it's not just the dunes that are causing problems, navigational issues for the man who started the day first. How much time will he lose? And in the cars, the man who won yesterday, BMW are having a dreadful day. Puncture for Peter Hansel. Well, the first major day in the dunes was yesterday, not only going through some of the sandy Salar Grande, but also having to face some of the huge mining areas that make Chile so prominent in the world. In fact, there is one particular mine that hasn't been allowed to shut due to the excess salt needed in Europe at the moment. That's causing a few problems and headaches for the organisers. Plenty of headaches, scrapes and bursts from the rally competitors yesterday. During the day, the bumps and grinds causing issues, and it will continue all night long. It's a marathon. There are those who finish, and then there are the others. Nicolas Mangianti from Argentina finally getting his flat-tired quad back into the race.
Odio el puto fish. Dakar! Dakar! Dakar!
For Jean-Luc Blanchemin, problems with the front of his car, running repairs needed on the front axle, but you could do that in the desert. Luckily, he wasn't stuck too deep into any sand at that point. Of course, when they got to Iquique, there was a fantastic descent, 2.3 kilometers at 1/3 gradient down into the bivouac. What a beautiful view, but not for some of the people with problems like Castor. I broke my gearbox at 120 kilometers, and so I pulled off the engine cover to see. I managed to select first gear manually, but then of course it got stuck. I took the decision to then let my water carrier go on. I rode slowly at 40 kilometers so I could finish. Problems for Christian Lavier in the Nissan, and problems for many other Nissan competitors as well. As dawn approached, all sorts of issues out in the dunes. Renato Ricler de Mer from Italy having to try and right his truck after flopping over. Not the most conventional way of writing it, but eventually the truck back up on all four wheels, and then the struggle began trying to get it out of the sand. It wasn't just the trucks, cars as well. Etienne Smolvich from France having to get rid of the windscreen being ripped off, and him saying, "It's my 29th Dakar and only my second roll." As night fell, sadly, the stage finish shut. Therefore, most of the drivers and riders faced with a night still in the dunes. For one competitor though, he was never going to let this get in the way. Just a few kilometres before the bivouac, Jorge Gomez's BMW gave up the ghost, but that wouldn't let him. stay there the night. Although he didn't register a time, he did manage to push the BMW over the start-finishing line, and the enthusiastic crowd there to help him all the way through. He was 15 hours in the desert. Today's stage from Iquique to Arica, and in fact double backs on itself, so it goes south, taking Sala Grande and Laminar before then heading back north on a 456 kilometre stage, and then 228 kilometres of liaison before well-earned rest day. Rejoiced for BMW yesterday as both Pere Hansel and Concalves took victories in their respective BMWs, but that would turn pretty badly when it came to today. Concalves started very confidently, but soon in the dunes got himself a little lost. That's the big disadvantage, you see, of starting first. No tracks to follow, no dust to follow. He was the man who was setting the path, and eventually he managed to find one of his teammates, Frans Verhoeven, coming the wrong direction from where Concalves was going. Both on BMWs, both for the Speed Brain team, eventually teamed up and ran together until checkpoint 2. There, Concalves disappeared. As we speak, he's yet to finish. Problems also for Zehelio. BMW that we know of running at the front of the field could be out of the race. Verhoeven did manage to get a decent time, and he finished up the day in 10th spot, some 17 minutes down after helping his teammate. Here's Zehelio, initially a bit of a star on stage 3 when he took 5th position, relatively unknown to the Dakar head's first time, but he crashed and hurt his shoulder, so he will take no further part in the rally. So to today's results then, and that is number 11 on the Red Bull KTM. Ruben Faria absolutely flying. He started 11th on the road and ran for most of the day on his own. Having learnt navigational skills on the Portimao Marrakesh early on, he was able in fact to chase down Deprez by the end of the stage, and when it came to the finish, those two finished together. Faria took victory by 50 seconds. Helder Rodriguez was the man who finished up in 2nd spot, started 6th on the road. In fact, his pace early on was enough to pull him up to the front 5 that were running ahead of him, and there he stayed, leading CP1, 2 and 3 by over a minute. His pace stayed constant, but he couldn't match Faria's speed, and he ended up 2nd and still 4th in the overall standings. Third on the stage was still Deprez, still 10 minutes down after yesterday's penalty and pushing very hard. However, quite soon into the stage, he felt some vibrations on his KTM, and that slowed him up. He just stayed with Coma most of the day, staying within a minute of his rival. Deprez said in his subtext that he wasn't particularly happy. He was happy to run yesterday's stage, but that meant that he was disappointed with losing time to Marc Coma, who had actually crashed early on in the day. Staying with Deprez, Coma knew that he was within 2 minutes of his main rival. new face to the top 10, Stefan Sviko from Slovakia on the KTM Hunt logo motion. He finished up in 5th position. 8 minutes down, but moves him into the top 10 overall and had a really good run on his KTM. 13th in 2010 Dakar. Behind him, Francisco Lopez, a Chilean, for a few moments yesterday thought he was the winner of yesterday's stage, but in fact he lost out by just over 2 minutes once Concalves got his time back after stopping for Pan. Today he started second on the road and finished second on the road, eventually losing 9 minutes in the process. Here's another Slovakian, Ivan Jakes, ran with Svitko early on, and in 3 Dakars he's only ever finished once in 43rd position on a 690 KTM. Spectacular riding and helped by that power through the dunes, because of course he is an amateur rider. He's 14th overall. Jorge Villadoms was running good enough for top 5 on his Yamaha, but finished today 8th, that's 6th overall. And here's a man we recognise from last year, 2nd in last year's Dakar, came here as a favourite but has not got on with the 450. Finally moves into the top 10 with a 9th today. It is already 1 hour and 30 minutes down. And in the quad section, it is Patronelli once more on top, some 40 minutes ahead of his rivals. He's really flying and holding up that flag for Argentina. Results then, Faria ahead of Rodriguez, Desprez nearly 4 minutes down eventually, Coma in 4th and Svitko 5th spot. Overall that means that Lopez is 3rd, Rodriguez is 4th, Ruben Faria 5th, but those two just 8 minutes apart at the front. Coma versus Desprez once more. Faria says it was a very tough stage, very long and bumpy. I started on my own pace, so until the refueling stop I probably lost some time, but after that I accelerated 200 kilometers from the finish. I overtook Desprez, Coma, Rodriguez and Chaleco and stayed with them, so I think really I should have won today.
E vim sempre a vê-los e parece que hoje venci mesmo.
Não, hoje foi uma etapa.
Rodriguez says it was a superb special for me.
No início ataquei muito, apanhei.
Set off behind Desprez and Coma, but caught up with them before overtaking them. And then I opened the way for 200 kilometers. Overall, it was a really good day on the Yamaha.
Quase 200 km, estou muito feliz de chegar aqui em segunda geral e a abrir pista. Acho que é muito bom, foi um passo grande que eu dei e que eu consegui dar. Estou feliz, muito feliz.
Après le ravitaillement essence,
after the refueling point, the bike started to vibrate. I didn't really know whether to stop or not, you know, in case the engine was going to blow. I slowed down a bit, and in the end I finished at the same time as the others, so honestly, it's a miracle that I actually finished today.
Les uns et les autres qui avançaient, qui se perdaient un petit peu, qui, bah voilà, j'arrive en même temps qu'eux et honnêtement c'est un miracle.